Thank you everyone for joining this afternoon's session. I'm going to be taking you through our Q2 release. Joined on the call today by Sally and Hanadi. So for those of you who have joined the session before, just a quick welcome here. We're going to go through the main enhancements from the release. We're then going to go into some product demonstrations with Sally, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions as we go through demonstration, please feel free to drop them into the chat, and then at the end we'll pick up on those questions, feed them back to you. The session's obviously being recorded and it'll be uploaded to the landing page, so it's some good resource for you to refer back to later. So in terms of things we're going to cover today, we've got some what we call the new features, which are the bigger things that are happening in the platform. So we've done a complete redesign of the mini profile. We've done some improvements to the way that notes and tasks work. We've got the ability to now recruit in hours, particularly aimed at the care sector or at retail. We've got our first launch of our self-serve perms for customers as well. So this is part of our what we're calling Manage 2.0, which is effectively our relaunch of Manage, where we're going to be giving you more additional functionality to do stuff yourselves. And then we're going to take you into eSign as part of the extended, which is outside of the offer extended process. I'm not going to go through all the enhancements. I'm going to let Sally talk about them in a bit. But these are just, I guess, smaller changes that we've made to existing functionality, just where we've enhanced it for you. So on that, I am going to hand over to Sally and let Sally share her screen.
So look, where are we? There we go. Perfect. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I've got a slight tickle in my throat today, so apologies if I sound a little bit weird. Cool. Okay, so first thing we're going to have a little look at is the new mini profile. So it's really, really nice new design that we've got going on. So I've got a little role just here that we can have a look at. Clearly, I was hungry when I was making this job. And we've got a candidate here. Now, this kind of overall page hasn't changed at all. We're mainly looking at this little mini profile bit. So we know a lot of you use this for reviewing your candidates, reviewing their applications and all that kind of thing. So we've just kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit and made it look a little bit nicer. So if we click into our mini profile, if it wants to play, there we go. We can see it's looking a little bit different. So you've got your candidate information at the top. Obviously, this kind of hasn't changed. There are a couple more bits there. So your locations in there, kind of if you've applied to different roles. You've also got the I on there for an internal candidate, just to kind of give you an indication of who you're looking at. And you can see up here, we've got a shortlisting as well. So relating to this particular application we're looking at, we can see that this candidate is currently sitting in the shortlisting stage. If we scroll down, you can see, well, if we move down the page slightly, you can see obviously you've got your candidate details. For an anonymized candidate, these will still be redacted. That functionality hasn't changed. So you're not suddenly going to see name and address details and things where you didn't previously if you're going through the anonymization process. So yeah, that will all be redacted as normal. Over here on the right-hand side, you can download the application, either the generated CV via the ATS or an original CV that has been uploaded by the candidate. You've also got your options menu over there. So the options menu hasn't changed, just kind of the positioning of it has. So you can still kind of perform all those same actions, rejecting people, booking interviews, obviously dependent on your user types and where you're in the application process. What has changed though, we've got now some little tabs down here. So rather than it all just being kind of in one place, you've got different areas to see different things. So application, so this is relating to this particular application that the candidate has submitted. Obviously, if they've got if they've got multiple applications, you're going to see this little symbol on there, and it's going to show you that they've got other applications in their system. your system. So we've got the application summary there. We can see the different steps that the candidate has gone through. You've still got the option to look at your application summary. So if you click on this link here, it opens up a new tab and it gives you a summary of your completed application. So you've got your different CV and all sorts of bits and pieces there. So obviously, if you've got different questionnaires attached to your application, you're going to see those still there in that place. Further down, we've got all our candidate personal information. Again, if it's anonymized, you're not going to be seeing that information there, so don't panic. But you've got your career history, education history, various bits and pieces at the bottom. Obviously, we're using a dummy candidate and a dummy platform, so it's not kind of fully completed. But yeah, on your side, you will probably see more information. Apologies if you can hear gurgling in the background. My dishwasher is making very weird noises. Apologies for that. Cool. So if we go on to our next tab, depending on the stage that the candidate is at, if you have any process questionnaires being triggered, so we're currently in the shortlisting stage, so we've got a shortlisting questionnaire that's sitting in the background waiting for us to be completed. So if you've got anything that is outstanding, you're going to see something like this. The questionnaire requires your action, and all you would do is you click on complete shortlisting questionnaire, and it's going to take you through to that questionnaire to complete. Alternatively, whoops, sorry, let's go back in there. Come on, there we go. Alternatively, if you have completed the shortlisting, the process questionnaire, you will see kind of the responses and things on there. If you might be in the interview feedback section and you're maybe using panel scoring, so you've got multiple people giving their feedback on that particular candidate, you would see the different scores given by the different people on there as well. So you see as much information as that process questionnaire contains. We've got a CV section. So if a candidate has uploaded a CV to their profile or against the application, you'll obviously see kind of the relevant information there. Yes, I'm not called Will Smith. I'm just using a dummy candidate. If any questionnaires have been completed as part of the application process, you'll see them there, and any activity is shown on the next tab. So this is any roles that the candidate has to apply to. You can obviously see the different roles there, and you can see where they've got to in each stage as well. And again, you've got that application summary, so you can see. So on a normal mini profile, you wouldn't be able to see any information linking to other applications, but here, obviously, you now can do. So you can see all the different bits and pieces in there. And then finally, you've got a notes tab. So if any notes have been added against the candidate, you would see them showing in there. So that's about it for the mini profile. As I say, nothing like functionality hasn't particularly changed. It's just kind of a nice new look and feel, making it feel a bit smoother, a bit nicer, and hopefully will enhance your experience. So next one then that we can go on to is the enhanced notes and tasks. So this has been kind of pushed out a little while. So some of you might have already noticed this, but essentially you can notes on a candidate. So this functionality hasn't changed. You've always been able to add a note on a candidate. What has changed though is when we go into this, the note can be linked to a specific application. So previously, when you put a note on a candidate, it was just against the candidate's profile, and it showed against every application that they might have. Whereas this one here, you can link it to that specific application. It does the same with the task. So if you need to put in a task on there, put yourself a due date on there, you can see obviously we've got this linking here, and we've got the application being detailed underneath. So you can put whatever you need in there. Hello, this is a note. We can pin it so we can see, you can definitely see it ourselves. You can unpin it, so it's just going to kind of sit there, but we can add it in there. So that's just the other applications that we've been given, that we've gone through. As we can see, the page refreshed just then, and you've now got this little icon showing on the candidate. If we hover over it, we can see that you've now got a date and timestamp and a name stamp against that note. So that's that one I just put on there. Clearly, I was having a test before, so previously I've put in candidate will bring right to work documents in, whatever it is on there. But yeah, you've got your name, you've got your date, you've got your timestamp on there. It's all working nicely. You can also add notes if you are in the candidate's profile as well. And you can pick and choose which application is linked to it. So if you're doing it within a job, it's only going to link that note to that specific application. If you go into the candidate's profile, you can either put notes against the candidate themselves as a whole profile or against a specific application. So if we go to our tools function, we've then got notes and tasks down here. Now, this is still relating to user time. So if your hiring manager basic don't have the functionality to add notes, they're still not going to have that functionality. But this is just kind of a new function. I'm logged in as a super user, so obviously I can see all and do all on there. So we've got this notes and tasks option. Again, exactly the same. We can add a task, we can add a note on there. And here we've got the option to link it to an application and choose which application we want to link it against. So if you want to put it against the adult carer role or something that this candidate's applied to, you can obviously put your note on there. Alternatively, you don't have to link it at all, and you can just put a note on that candidate profile. Again, you can pin it so everybody can see it, or you can just kind of leave it there. So there you go. So that's your notes and tasks. Not much else to report on notes and tasks, so I think that's probably about it for now. Cool. So next one I want to talk you through is recruiting in hours. So let me just go back a little page. And which we're looking at this one. Okay, cool. So we've got a job here, residential support worker. So as Chris mentioned before, we're anticipating this to be of most use to those people in the care sector, maybe in retail. Totally up to you if anybody can have this functionality. So the previous two features I've just gone through, the notes and the mini profile, they're going to be turned on for everybody. Whereas this one is an on request function. So if this is something you're after, let us know, and we can certainly get that sorted for you. So we have, so when you're recruiting in hours, you can do this on a brand new job, or you can do it against an existing job once it's all been turned on in the background. So we've got one here. We can go in and edit. And we'll scroll down slightly, and we can see we've got our job quantity here. Now, previously, we've always just had positions, sorry, and so 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, but you've now got a function that you can put in hours. So you could put in 200 hours, for example, against a particular role. And that's all you need to do. So you're just kind of saving that number of hours against the role. So if I scroll down, I'll just save that. We can see now that, so this chef position at the top, chef role, that's just kind of recruiting in positions. So there's no kind of hours or anything detailed. Whereas here, residential support worker, we can now see 0 out of 200 hours have been assigned on that role. If we click into the job, you've also got a little countdown function over here. And as you assign hours to candidates, that function is going to count down and show you your remainders. So when you are wanting to offer hours to a candidate, you're going to go through what we call the offer extended process, or the creating a contract, essentially. So we've got a candidate here. We're going to go to our options menu, and I'm going to scroll down right down to the bottom. There we go. Offer job contract generation. You might see extended process on yours. It depends on kind of what translations you've got. But yeah, it's essentially this function that we're going through. I'm just going to create a new one. Sorry, I've clearly been messing around there. Cool. So we can see that we can now assign hours. So we've got our total 200 is what we just obviously put against the role. We've got a remaining 200. So let's say we're going to offer 40 for this candidate. We've got our salary there. We're going to generate a contract. So let's just go with this one. Offer letter, contract. Obviously, you can choose whichever you generate at this stage. When it wants to play, there we go, perfect. So all our variables are being brought through from the candidate's profile. There's nothing kind of further that we need to generate or put into there. So we're going to preview and generate. And we can see, obviously, there's that offer letter that's being sent out. We're going to generate it. And we're going to go next. Okay, so we can see our hours are being assigned against the role there. Obviously, you can put something in that offer letter if you want to. You could have a custom variable to say how many hours are being included to the candidate. I've just kept this very simple, just against the system. But as I say, if you want to put it in your offer letter, feel free to do so. So we're generating our contract or our offer letter, whatever it is. We're going to confirm that we wish to offer Ethan the position, and we're going to finish it there. There we go. So we can see that Ethan has now been moved through to the offered section, and he's now got 40 hours offered, and it's pending because he's not accepted anything yet. It's still it's been offered until he accepts anything. It's not going to change. So if I just go over onto a different profile, oh, another one. Let me log out and log back in again. There we go. We can see residential support worker. We've got documents to view. So we can view that document. We can see we've got 40 hours offered. Sorry, let me just show you that again. Went over there. So 40 hours offered there. We can view that document. We've got e-sign turned on here. So we've got all the functionality there. But we've got over here on the left-hand side, 40 hours are being offered. So again, this is pulling through from that figure that we just put into the system when we're generating that contract or offer letter for Ethan. We'll just kind of go through the e-sign elements. There we go. E-sign we've done on a previous webinar. So if you're interested, have a look at the previous ones. There we go. Approve and submit, and we're going to accept that offer. Cool. So hours that have been offered is 40. We're all accepted on that side. If we go back onto our side, I'm just going to give that screener a quick refresh. We can see now the candidate has moved to accepted. And do we need to refresh again? Oh, helpful. Good. It's not showing that. That should be taking a step back. Step back. It should be knocking those hours down. We can see it's been accepted. If I go back a page, it might show it there. Good. Apparently I've got a bug in the system. Because the candidate has accepted, apologies for that, that should now be showing as 40 of 200 hours have been assigned. So yeah, it should be a regular countdown. I'm not quite sure what's happened there in the system. It was definitely working last time I tried that. So there you go. So it will assign the hours against the role and against the candidate there. So there we go. So that's recruiting in hours. I'm going to skip over to manage for the next one. So we're talking about our self-serve permissions. So as Chris mentioned before, we are in the process of creating a better managed version for you guys. And the idea is to give you more autonomy, more control over it, not have to reach out to the support team every time you need something doing. So the idea is that we are releasing some of our permissions to you guys to play around with, to see how they work, and you've got control over them, essentially. Now, it's not something we're turning on for everybody. If this is something that you would like, let us know. We can turn that on for you. And you will get a new little section called Self-Serve Permission System under your platform configuration menu. There we go. So initially, because we're in the first stage of this, we've only released 10 permissions. So these are and allows you just to, as I say, have a bit more autonomy over your system. So we've got things like identification of disabled candidates, toggling on those job maps, being able to edit jobs, things like that. And you've got a couple of different types of permissions. So you've got one called a global permission, which is either all on or all off. So there we go. We can toggle that one on. You can see here it's indicated as a global permission, and that's just on for everybody. Alternatively, we have permissions that are done by user type. So if you select this icon over here, there we go, we get an option to choose who it's going to be on for. So a lot of the, obviously we don't want our job seekers to edit any jobs or anything like that. So that one's always going to be off. But you can pick and choose who you want to be able to do stuff on there. So do you want your hiring managers or Hiring Manager Plus to be able to do things, or do you just want it to be your talent team or your recruiters or whoever it is? Or you can have it all off and it just be your super users. Totally up to you guys. You can pick and choose and do whatever you need. Or you can have everybody doing it and not your agencies. Totally up to you. But once you submit it, there we go. We can see that permission has been successfully updated, and it should kind of take effect. There you go. The screen might just kind of refresh for you just to show that it's taken effect. With Manage, just a general rule of thumb, if you're making changes, sometimes they don't happen straight away. Sometimes there's about a 15-minute lag. So before you start reaching for your tickets to contact the support team, give it kind of 15, 20 minutes or so just to see if it needs to refresh. If after that time it's still not working, obviously get in touch with us and we can have a look at that in the background for you. So that's your self-serve permissions system. Over time, we're planning on releasing more to you. So maybe in the next release in September, you might get another 10, and then we'll just kind of keep going from there. As we've said, we're trying to give you the ones that shouldn't make any damage in the system. If there's anything that is really going to break something, I think we're going to probably hold on to those for the time being. But yeah, just it should make your lives a little bit easier. So there you go. So that's self-serve perms. If I go back over onto our ATS, there's just one more thing that I just want to take you through in terms of our big ticket releases, if you like. So our last one is e-sign without going through a contract. Now, this when we launched e-sign earlier in the year, this was linked to the offer extended process, the contract process that we just went through. And you've told us that that wasn't quite working for you. You love e-sign, but you need it to have a little bit more flexibility. So what we've now done is we can allow you to generate a contract in the system, but it doesn't necessarily have to be linked to that offer. It can just be a contract or a document that goes out. It can be signed by the candidate, and then it's they don't change status or anything in the system. So just to illustrate this, we've got a candidate here at interview. And what we can do is we can issue this contract out to them or issue this document out to them, whatever it is, and they won't move forward in the process. So to go through this process, we need to go through the generate contract. I know the wording is not quite right, but if it's something that you want us to change and you're not a Grow customer, then that's something that we can certainly look at for you. So we're going to go to generate contract. We're going to select our relevant document. So I've got one here, criminal convictions confirmation. So it might just be something you want someone to say, yeah, fine, I agree for you to do criminal convictions checks on me in the background or whatever it is. I've just made it up. Obviously, you might have specific examples that you can use. So yeah, the system just obviously refreshed. It's pulled through all those different variables. And we can preview this document that's going to be generated out to our candidate. So there we go. So we've pulled through names. So I agree to the criminal convictions checks being performed against me, blah, 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 blah. And we've got our e-sign signature option down here. So we're going to generate this and we're going to send it out to our candidate. We do want to email it to our candidate. We're not going to share it with anybody at this stage, but we are going to generate it on the system. There we go. So we can see that offer or that document has now been generated. You can download it for your records if you need to. But if we go over onto our system, I'm just going to refresh that. We can see our candidate has not been moved. They're still staying at interview, but we do have a document that's sitting there against their profile. So it's not linked to the contract. It's not sending them to offer or anything like that. They're staying at the same place where we want them. And if I just go over, so I'll log out as Ethan, I'll log in as Simon, my son and my husband, if anybody cares. There we go. Cool. And if I just refresh that one again, it was it redundant? Right, yeah, it was residential, sorry. And we can view that document. Okay, there we go. Oh, so yeah, because it's obviously e-sign in there, review your contract offer. We know it's not a contract, but it's just kind of the document that's being sent out to them. So that's that document that was triggered. We're going to put our pretend signature on there, our e-signature. We'll just choose that one up, that option. Confirm we're going to approve it. Accepting that offer. And there we go. That's all accepted. So back on the dashboard, if we went back into our view documents, you can see we've got a thumbs up on there showing that it's been accepted. And again, if we went into there, it's showing as accepted as well. If I go back onto our side and just give that a quick refresh. Again, our candidate's not gone anywhere. They're still staying on the same stage, but our contract has now been accepted, or that document, whatever it is. So you can click into that to see that acceptance, and we can see that that e-sign, e-signature has now been applied onto the document. So there you go. That's it for our 5 big releases. Chris, are there any questions, or shall I carry on to the enhancements first?
Let's carry on to the enhancements. Do you want me to put it up on screen for you, Sally?
Yes, please.
I know you're going to talk through them.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. So first one then, job requisition. So for a while, you have pretty much since we released job requisition, a lot of you were telling us that you only wanted your hiring managers to see those job requisitions that they were raising. If you are in a hierarchy, then that is possible. They can only see their own things, but those people that were organizations that weren't using hierarchy, that wasn't yet possible. However, we've now changed that. So there is now permission that allows you just your hiring managers to see what they're raising as job requisitions, or anybody else for that matter. It doesn't have to be just hiring managers, but anybody that's raising a job requisition, they're only going to see things that link to them. So that's a new thing that we can instigate in the background for you. Next one, job authorization request email update for single job description. So this is when a job authorization email is sent out. For those customers using our old version of our job description, which has like the 5 or 6 different sections, I've lost my train of thought. The email that was coming through, I think, had a link through to the job description. The single job description, just with the 2 different boxes, the internal or the external, that wasn't pulling through the job description, but I believe that is now in the job authorization email that comes out. The next thing is Job Booster. So some people might be using this, some people might not be, but you can create a campaign in Job Booster, and this allows you to sponsor a job on a one-off basis for a certain period of time. We've now kind of added an enhancement to say that if you know what, I'll just show you rather than doing all this. That makes a lot more sense. If you just stop sharing for me, Chris, a sec. This one, yes, perfect. So Job Booster, if you're using it, is over here, and you have got your different campaigns. So you create a campaign when you're sponsoring a job, essentially, and this is kind of on our dummy system. None of these are live, but if they were active, you would see them in this little active section, and you're now going to have an expiry date and how long's left of your campaign in there. So you're sponsoring a job for a specific amount of time, 30 days, 50 days, whatever it is, and you will see how long is left in there. So every feature release, we seem to be kind of doing something on Job Booster. So we're just making it nice and easy and nice and simple for you to use. Next option, next enhancement was the alternative media text that I just noticed. So this is something, a bit of an ED&I enhancement. So for any visually impaired people that might be using your platform. If you've got any logos attached to your job descriptions, this will now kind of read aloud a description of that job, of the logo for you. So just to demonstrate this, if we go into this role here, if I go to a package description, we can see we've got a logo upload here. We've now got a permission here, which is a logo alternative text. And essentially you can just type in whatever it is that that logo is doing. So it could be a castle, it could be a tree, it could, whatever it is. But this will now contribute to text read from screen, software and things like that, and it will read aloud to the candidate what it is that they're seeing or what's appearing on the screen for you. Chris, what was the next one? Emails hierarchy, was it?
Alternative media text in job create.
Yeah, that's that one.
View candidates email based on hierarchy.
Hierarchy, perfect. Okay, so another kind of link through to hierarchy. So if your organization is using hierarchy, you'll know who you are. You have asked us that certain people within the hierarchy, so maybe your hiring managers, don't see all the emails that go out to candidates. So where are we looking here? I think it's on this one. So if we go into this profile, if I was linked to hierarchy, I can have a look at tools. And if this, depending on my user type, so probably hiring manager, I will probably not be able to see these emails that are being sent out to the candidate. So it just allows these emails to kind of stay hidden if you don't want your hiring managers to be able to see all that kind of information there. So that's that one. Guidelines, I think, was the next one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this relates to, so if you've got candidates applying for multiple roles, they will, if they're answering questionnaires as part of your application process, we can carry over those answers that they've previously given to different questionnaires. Different questions. Something that was lacking was that if you put guidelines against any of your questions on those questionnaires, there would be text copied over to say we've copied over the previous answer given to this question, and then the guidelines would be overwritten. So what we've now done is we've allowed these guidelines to stay in there. So just to show you what I'm actually banging on about, is, oh, actually, am I on? Let me log out of something. I'm logging as somebody else. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look for job search. I'm going to apply for this one. And because I'm a repeat applier, if you like, the system is going to remember a lot of my profile details. So I'm clicking apply for this job. So we can see all that information has been remembered from previous applications. So we've got all the CV and everything, all those bits and pieces. Continue. We've got our CV. And there we go. So so answers have been copied over from previous responses to this question. These guidelines, if there were any guidelines, they will have been hidden. But if I just continue over. Oh, is it not this one? Oh, sorry, I thought it was on the right roll. Essentially, if you've put any guideline information in that box, it will be showing as well as we've copied over your answers. That's essentially the point I'm trying to get to. Sorry about that. I think that's it. Have I missed anything, Chris, on the enhancement?
Calendar extended interview booking times.
Aha, yes, lovely. So when we're booking interviews, so our last one, some of you have said that the hours featured on the interview booking times weren't really kind of working for you. You might be doing night shifts, you might have very long hours or anything like that, and you could only book interviews between something like 8 and 6 or something like that. So we've extended our interview times. So if I go to create an interview for this candidate, let's just say it's this one, we'll create a new interview slot. We've got all our information there. We're going to create some bulk interviews. So what used to be, as I say, between 8 and 6, you can now do interviews at any time of the night, if you like. So if you want to do an interview at 2 a.m. for a night shift, you absolutely can do that now. So you can set up all those different time slots if you wish. Sounds nice and simple. Is that it, Chris?
That is it, Sally. That is it.
That's all right. Cool. I will stop talking and stop sharing.
Thank you, everybody. There's been quite a lot of questions put in the chat, so I'll give a quick rundown of some of the questions that we've had around the different things. So we've had a few questions, obviously, around the mini profile and notes. I guess to say on the mini profile, it's a change to the existing profile, so existing functionality that you might have from the old profile. So, for example, where you can click through to view the application. You've still got the download within the view application, but you haven't got a full download within the mini profile. We haven't extended that functionality there. On the notes side, as Sally obviously showed you within the session, you can go on there and add notes to the job. When you're looking in the mini profile, they will just show you notes within the job. All the notes that are, I guess, global notes will be available in the candidate's profile. And just, I know we touched a little bit about the pinning of tasks, sort of pinning of tasks and pinning of notes. That just pins it at the top of the list within the notes section. And really why we brought that functionality in was you might want to add a note. Let's say the candidate's going on holiday. You might not want to contact them for a couple of weeks. You want to pin that note at the top so then that anyone can go, who goes in and looks at the notes will see that immediately at the top rather than it being down the list. Some of our clients have also thought of using that to, I guess, record information specific on each candidate. So if you're using that candidate, if you're using your CV search to be like your talent database, and you maybe want to record stuff about candidate availability, maybe it's a candidate that's applied for a graduate role and you want to capture some of that detail in there. Again, you could put that detail in and pin that to the top of the notes. So that's hopefully quite good and gives you some good tools there that you probably didn't have before. We had a few questions around the recruiting and hours. Did it change the view of the adverts? No, all the adverts are exactly the same. Couple of questions on the permissions. So yeah, if you want access to being able to apply the permissions yourself, if you obviously speak to your account manager or drop a ticket into support, they can get that switched on for you. It also can have access to those permissions within UAT as well. So again, if you want to toggle them on and off in UAT, you can as well. We had a question around does the hours impact the contracts you do? No, it doesn't change anything that you do within your contracts. All the snippets that you have in there are indirectly not related to it, so that should be fine. They were quite specific questions about contracts and signatures.
Can I just add something on the recruiting hours? Something I forgot to say. So we're never going to limit you in terms of recruiting. So let's say you put 200 hours, but you need to recruit for 210 hours. We're never going to stop you. You can always go and recruit that. Same with positions as well. That's the same. So if you put one position, but you actually need 2 people, the system is not going to prevent you from doing that. That's not what we're about. We're here to enable you, not to restrict you. Thanks.
Thanks. Couple of questions around how do we know if a candidate has confirmed their attendance to an interview? So that's exactly the same as it is today. So when a candidate has confirmed their interview slot, on the actual where you see the candidate in the job list, that goes green to show that they've confirmed their interview. You still receive exactly the same confirmations going back to hiring managers or attendees of the interview, confirming that the candidate has selected them. Yeah, I'm afraid there's still no functionality to put breaks in between bulk interview slots. But just to say on interviews, we are currently in the process of redeveloping the interview section of the platform, and we're going to be launching in Q4 a whole new interview module, which will give you a lot more functionality. So I think there's a couple of points in there around hours. Is 2 a.m. Should we put 2 p.m.? We'll take on board all of that feedback to put that into the new module. Last question. So we've got a question around could you use e-sign contracts for existing staff? We have a couple of customers that do this, so they effectively create a role on the platform that they put candidates in for like redeployment or move between roles, and then they have a specific contract that they use for this. So they effectively put that candidate into that role, move them through to the contract generation, and use that to generate the contracts out to the candidate. Because it's an applicant tracking system, it isn't at all just to generate documents for signing. For something like that, you would need something like DocuSign or something specific. So it's always connected to a job in some way. And I think that was the last question. Anybody has got any other questions, feel free to drop them in. But thank you everyone for joining the session. Again, we'll put the recording online so you can refer back to it. Again, if you think of anything in the meantime, feel free to reach out to your account manager, drop a ticket into support. We're always happy to help in any queries that you might have with the platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.